Everybody, I'm going to kick us off on behalf of Flagler Open Arms Recovery Services. We're very excited to be here this evening. We are here to honor National Recovery Month and also to honor everyone who's here. One of the values of Flagler Open Arms Recovery Services, or any RCO, any recovery community organization, is that we honor all pathways to recovery, whatever they may be. So tonight, our first opportunity to bring bring a session about a whole variety of pathways out to the public. You are on Zoom and you also are on Facebook Live. So I'd like to introduce Kathy. I think most of everybody here knows her, but the people watching may not. Kathy is our September recovery champion. She has been a part of the recovery world for a very long time. And she is also serves on the founding board as the board secretary. So Kathy, thrilled to have you, excited about this presentation. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. And I just want to welcome everybody on the panel this evening, as well as all of the guests in attendance. I have my sidekick, Amy, here, so we're going to both host and co-host this together. And so this session is meant to inform people of some of the pathways where people can find recovery nowadays. It's really important to honor multiple pathways because just like cars and clothes, everyone has their own style. And it's no different in the recovery world.
I'm Amy. At the end of the session, we're going to answer the questions from the audience. But if during this session you think you might have a question you'd like to ask our panel, you can go ahead and post it in the chat box. Questions that way if you want, or if you can wait, we will ask at the end, whichever way is perfectly acceptable. Having said that, I'd like to start off with Jason from AA. Hey, Jason.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Jason.
Explain what you've seen work in the pathway to recovery and what makes it unique.
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
Sure. Explain what you've seen work with this pathway of recovery and what makes it unique.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yes.
I've just seen that I've tried other ways to get sober over the past 10 years. And the miracles that the program of AA has worked in my life and in close family members that you know, we've struggled with alcoholism and addiction for 30 plus years and tried many different ways over the years to try to get sober and to be able to get sober and totally change our lives. And that was through the program of AA. And the friendships that I've built with the people that I've met in the Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs are you know, closer than any friendships I've ever had in my life. And the feeling of community and unity that we have and sharing in this common affliction that we all have, that it's hard to relate to anyone that hasn't gone through it, and just having people like that in your life. So I would say that was what was unique about Alcoholics Anonymous for me.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to Keith next. Keith, I understand that you're both representing Refuge Recovery and Smart Recovery. So can you tell us what each of these pathways within themselves, how they are unique within themselves?
Well, yeah, there's two sorts of totally different programs there. Smart Recovery is based on kind of an individual being able to do a lot of the work themselves. It's self-management. That's part of the name. And so some people that I've experienced having trouble with other groups where it's more of a we thing, and some people are not we people. Some people are more individualistic, and it's also a very scholastic sort of program in that it requires homework, or well, you're always working something. So in my personal experience, a lot of people that are in STEP programs, maybe they don't like to write a lot, or maybe they don't want to take homework and do program written work every week. Whereas with Smart Recovery, it's something that people would, you basically have a notebook. You're asked to write, to journal from the very beginning. And you're also asked almost every week to do an exercise. And as they are common in other recovery programs, to doing exercises, but it's a little more structured in that it's almost you're always interacting with the individual, interacting with either the group or a facilitator. Often Smart Recovery is conducted with a therapist or a psychologist or sociologist, somebody that is guiding the person along in their journey to change their behavior. It's also not specific about a type of addiction. Smart Recovery is functional from everything from sex addiction to kleptomania to substance abuse. It doesn't matter what your behavioral disorders are, you can work on it through the exercises, and they're relatively the same sort of exercise no matter what your behavioral problem that you're trying to correct is. And also, you get to identify your own behavioral problems. It's not someone telling you that you are this or you are that. It's very much an anti-label. Whereas with other programs that I'm associated with, and I'm sure you're familiar with, we identify as a particular type of behavior.
Can I stop you right there, Keith? Just to give everybody a chance to be able to share too. Can you give us just a little inkling of what refuge recovery kind of entails? What is it?
Yeah,
what's the focus?
Okay, thank you. Refuge recovery is a Buddhist-based approach to recovery, and it's very similar to a STEP program. So it's modeled along those same ideas, but focused a little bit more on compassion and acceptance.
Okay, thank you very much, Keith. I really appreciate it.
All right, next up we have Frank. Frank S.
Hi there.
Oh, here we go. What makes it unique? What is your pathway and what makes it unique?
Well, the pathway that I'm representing is all recovery. I've been facilitating all recovery meeting the past 5.5 months. My actual home is a 12-step Narcotics Anonymous program, but I've been volunteering with the Volusia Recovery Alliance, and they wanted to start an all recovery meeting, and I've always been kind of open to different ideas and things, and I had never even heard of all recovery before. So I did my research and I started facilitating these meetings. And what they are basically, it's just kind of like, oh, hold on. Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So what all recovery is basically, it's just kind of like a cat. It just it's open to all people of all pathways, and it's just like a universal recovery meeting. I pick a universal recovery topic at the beginning. We share on that. It encourages me to kick it off. And we make it a point in like the opening introduction that we are respectful to everyone's pathways. We may hear comments about what worked for them. We stay respectful, respect whatever people's path is on what worked for them. It's just kind of a place to share different ideas on what is working for different people, no matter what path they're on. And so that's how it's just open to all, basically is what it is. And we just remain respectful. What makes it kind of different is like, as long as you're not interrupting people, you can feel free to like bond and crosstalk. You know, if somebody shared something they're struggling with, you can respond on that. If something worked for you, you know, in that particular area, we encourage you to share what worked for you if someone shared something they're struggling with. So it's just kind of open to all and respectful to all recovery pathways.
Just as an aside, do you all have like sponsors or anything like that? There's more or less a sharing group.
Yeah, it's just a sharing group. It basically was kind of just organically created by the people that started the recovery coach certification program. And it doesn't have like a central committee. It doesn't have like a board or, you know, service representatives or any kind of structure like that. It basically has a format and anybody's welcome to pick it up and run with it. You don't have to ask permission to do the meetings. You don't have to report to anyone. There are no, you know, area level or regional or world level committees or anything like that. It's just kind of an organically like grown, kind of pops up wherever people want to give a try, kind of thing.
Okay, that sounds like my program.
Yeah, it seems more like it's from what I've noticed, kind of almost like a supplemental to other people's programs. Because like again, for me, Narcotics Anonymous is my home, but I just I love these meetings because the format's different, it's a little looser, and it's just I see it as like a supplement to my base fellowship.
Okay, well, thank you very much for talking about that. And the next person we have up is Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Hey, you have a pretty cool multiple pathway as well. Can you tell us what does MRT stand for, and what do you feel that makes that pathway unique?
Hello, Lauren. OARS stands for Oral Recognition Therapy. It is a youth cognitive therapy approach to change. Recognition being alternating the process of how decisions are made. That was unique for me because I went to the bridge and we did MRT there, and it opened my eyes to the way I was thinking and how I hurt people and how to change that way of thinking. And think before I react. Because before I went to the bridge, I was defiant. I didn't realize the things I was doing were not okay. And in the sense, the bridge really opened my eyes to the things and the thought practices that I needed to change. And then getting out, I applied those. So,
can I stop you right there? Just because you're breaking up. So from what I understand, the moral recognition therapy is more of a behavioral therapy approach. Is that what you were saying? And basically, recognition means altering the process of how decisions are made. And so that's basically what Lauren was saying for anybody who wasn't able to understand her. And did you want to try to start according to what the bridge was helping you do? Is the bridge what got you started in MRT? And
the bridge was, yes.
Okay.
I did my MRT there.
Okay. So I'm going to move on just because we can't really hear you. Is Johnny there too? Hi, Johnny.
Johnny's here.
Hey, good. Okay, maybe you guys can work on getting in a spot where the sound gets a little bit better because you're breaking up.
If I can interrupt you for a second, for those of you that are using your phones, it's a little bit more difficult when you're moving the phones around and you have the phone a little further away from you. So if you kind of stabilize that and maybe bring it a little closer to you, I think the sound will be a little bit better. I'm not 100% sure, but I know Lauren has that problem. So when you get back on, yeah. So that might help. All right, I'm signing off. I'm going back on mute.
Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that.
All righty, we're going to move on to Kim. If you'd like to explain the pathway you've chosen and what makes unique to that.
Okay, so my name's Kim and I'm representing Salty Church Life Recovery Group. It's a 12-step group based on spiritual principles. It's a faith-based, a Christian based. So I'm also a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and when we identify with a higher power, you can pick any type of higher power. But in Salty or Life Recovery, it is the Christian higher power. It's God and Jesus, and we read out of the Bible, and then we also have a companion workbook that we go through that answers questions. It's a 12-step program, and but it's not just for addiction. We have people that attend that are codependent, have anger issues. We've had overeaters come in. So it's a broad spectrum. It's just not about the substance abuse disorder.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have Jason S. Jason, what is your pathway? And do you think there's something different about your pathway?
Hello, ladies, and thank you. I'm here tonight representing Narcotics Anonymous. What makes it unique is it is a 12-step program that is based on complete abstinence from any mind-altering, mood-changing substances. So it's substance abuse related.
So some of you attend more than one mutual aid group. Tell me, do the meetings you attend tell me how the meetings complement each other? Do you want to do that, Jason? Because I know that you also have, I think you also go to the 12-step recovery group that Kim does for the Christian.
Oh, I got my hands in a bit of everything.
I know.
Could you repeat the question for me, Kathy?
Sure, absolutely. I know that some, if not most of you, attend more than one mutual aid group. I know that you're a member of Narcotics Anonymous. Can you tell me how the other meeting, if you do have another mutual aid meeting, how that meeting that you attend complements the other meeting as well? Does that fill in the gaps?
Sure. Like Kim was saying, I also attend the Salty Life Recovery meetings because in NA, it's a spiritual program, not a religious program. And through that, I have come to an understanding of a higher power, and I choose God as my higher power. And so I attend Life Recovery because I can talk more about my faith and things in there and share that with people that have that in common. Because like other people were saying, in Narcotics Anonymous, a lot of people don't want to talk about God and Jesus. So I go somewhere else for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alrighty, we're gonna go back to the other Jason.
So
Do you attend any other meetings besides NA? Do you find it necessary for you or AA?
No, I only attend AA.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move on to Keith. We run the same circles, so I know that you do attend another group. Can you tell us how the meeting that you attend each other?
Yeah, I think at least with Refuge Recovery and with NA, who I'm also a member of, I attend meetings and weekly. Their spiritual principles are somewhat the same. I mean, the principles of honesty and open-mindedness, they are throughout all of the recovery groups that I've ever attended, and that would include the Smart Recovery. They teach. They don't call it spiritual principles, but ethics and morals, but they're basically the same thing.
Okay.
Alrighty, next we have Frank. Frank, do you attend any other mutual aid groups? And how do the meetings you attend complement each other?
I do. I attend Narcotics Anonymous, and also, I participate in the all recovery meetings that I facilitate, and I love it because it number one, it introduces me to, just a wider range of people that are on, different paths, but the same kind of goal. And so it allows me to kind of hear different viewpoints that I may not have come across in my pathway. Sometimes there are things like medication assisted therapy is a little frowned upon in some 12-step meetings. I'm of the camp that can be helpful for some. So my home will always be NA, and that's where my core recovery comes from. But I just love the supplement because it's kind of, for me, it expands my toolbox and allows me to become a stronger person, to learn more from different outlets, and just kind of, expand that toolbox and make myself safer, a better person, a better member of society.
Okay. So next is Lauren. Because I personally know you too, Lauren, I know that you attend another self-help group. Can you tell me how which other group, if you choose to tell us, that you attend, and how it helps complement the MRT program that you're on?
I go to NA, and it helps me connect with people on their own and get a support network and just meeting people, and it keeps me centered, and it helps me apply everything I learned in everything. And, working the 12 steps for my sons, I get to apply both of those into my life, and just really the rooms is just where I stay connected to people, and,
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we're back to Kim. Kim, you're pretty well known in the recovery community, and it will come as no surprise to you too, have other mutual aid groups you attended. Do you think the meetings complement each other that you attend? Kim?
Looks like Kim stepped away from her chair for a minute.
Okay, we'll just move along then.
So I'm going to go back to Jason. I'm going to go back to Jason S. one more time. Since you, so let's see, if you could share or leave with the audience tonight one thing about your pathway that you would like them to remember, what would it be?
I feel like you're picking on me now. If I could share one thing with the audience tonight, about my pathway, would be the reason I chose Narcotics Anonymous, is because it's the first place I went to in a very long time where I felt welcomed, and I actually felt like I belonged there. I was surrounded by people that cared about me. They wanted to help me get and stay clean, and they have been a huge factor in my recovery the entire length of it. I really owe my life to Narcotics Anonymous, so thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to bring back Jason, the other Jason. Okay. Also, what would you like to leave the audience with tonight about your pathway?
I just found in AA for the first time in my life, where for most of my life, I didn't realize that other people struggled with what I struggled with, and I thought it was only me, and I didn't know that people could get help for alcohol and addiction, and that they could live sober lives and be happy and be successful members of community. And I found that when I started attending AA meetings, and got hope that, you know, I could fix my life, and that I could be somebody, and that, you know, where I had thought for so long that, because of my actions in the past, that, you know, my life was stuck on the path that it was in, and that I would never be able to get out of that, and that nobody would understand, and, you know, that it was just that was gonna be my life, and that was the way that, you know, I was gonna be until I died. And and uh and it just it restored my life. And you know, I have a brother and a sister that also, you know, were were addicts and alcoholics for most of our childhood, teenage years, 20s and 30s into our 40s. And through Alcoholics Anonymous and NA, all of us are sober now at the same time for the first time in our lives, and having successful lives, and you know, changed the path that our lives were on. And that was through Alcoholics Anonymous. And so it also saved my life and my family's life, and and you know, connected me to my God, you know, which is my higher power, God, and in a way that I didn't know was possible before. And I'm just a satisfied customer of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
I see Kim's back. We're going to come back to Kim. You're pretty well known in the recovery community, and it will come to no surprise that you too have other mutual aid groups to attend. Do you think the meetings complement each other?
Kim, you got to unmute.
Sorry, I was doing a UA. I feel like if it wasn't for Narcotics Anonymous, I wouldn't have found, I mean, the church, my understanding of a higher power, everything just kind of has been woven together. It's like God's perfect plan for me. And without me even knowing who, other than like this mythical old guy that lives in the cloud, like that's what God was to me, someone that was unattainable and that just didn't even care about me. That's just what I thought of my higher power. But through NA, I was able to meet some people that introduced me into a Christian lifestyle and a Christian way of life, and brought me to Salty Church, where I got to know the pastor in that community, and he came to us and asked us about the life recovery group. Like, I've never grown up, I didn't grow up reading the Bible, you know, and this is an opportunity for me, you know, like the two most important books that I own are my Life Recovery Bible and my NA Basic Text. And I know a lot of people in Narcotics Anonymous say, well, read the book. You'll get a lot of information from the book. And I feel the same way about the Bible. I mean, it's cool in the NA Basic Text that like they have the stories in the back. Well, the Bible is full of stories that I can relate to. You know, you just take out the heroin and the methamphetamines. They don't really talk about that in the Bible, but the feelings are the same.
Cool. Do you have like a specific aha moment that you might like to share with everybody that you might remember?
Oh my God, there's been so many. I think that my first big aha moment that there've been so many. I think I remember Jason and I were going to visit my son. He's in the Army, and we had decided that we wanted to go to a meeting while we were out of town. And my son said, my daughter was like, "You're going to go to a meeting? We're visiting Noah." And Noah goes, if she needs to go to a meeting, if they need to go to a meeting, let them go to a meeting, because because he remembers what it was like when I wasn't well. So that was a really big moment. And then the fact that like not only when both of my kids are in town, that they participate, like they go to like the Easter service at church and things like that. So I know that these two programs are working in my life, and it's having not only effect on me, but an effect on my family as well. So it's really cool. Sorry. My kids are my soft spot.
Don't a crier. Okay, next we're going to go to Frank, because you're, to me, you're our middleman here, because you're pretty much an all-inclusive, and so I would like for you to define what that meeting gives to you at the end of the day. And also, I kind of want to ask you, do you think that the people who are the MAP people would feel more, because sometimes it's hard to feel welcome in groups for those people. So I think it's really important to let other people know that there are other groups out there. I don't know if I'm getting that question across very good, but what's your takeaway for how the people feel when they leave? Do you guys still have a good relationship and stuff like that?
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me a little better now. I moved a little closer to my router. But I think, so the first part of the question was what did I, kind of what do I take away from my all recovery meetings?
What's the biggest difference for the all recovery meeting that sets it apart and makes you what you would want somebody to remember the most, that you would like to tell?
Yeah, sure. I would say that again, the main, like the core message of those meetings are that we're open to all, you know, and so it's not a strict a pathway. It doesn't have like a defined set of principles, or it doesn't even have literature, actually. Like I said, it just kind of organically grew. It's just kind of open to all, and I do actually think it would be helpful for people on that therapy, because it's just it's like part of the opening dialogue I feel that I give before every meeting is that we respect everyone's kind of choice to which path that they're on. And again, like, because I know, you know, my home, Narcotics Anonymous, you know, that's considered an outside issue, and I understand that, and I respect that, you know. But on the other hand, I also know personally, you know, people whose lives it's saved, but they have a hard time finding, you know, a meeting or a place to go where they can feel accepted and share freely about it, you know. So I think it would definitely be helpful for people on that. You know, I was actually on it at one point in my life, and it you know, I'm no longer, but you know, it helped save my life, among many other things, among working a program though as well, and steps. But again, you kind of have to keep it hush hush, you know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. We're going to talk to Keith again. I wondered, we probably should have set this up earlier in the presentation, but can you kind of define the 12 steps for people that maybe aren't familiar with them?
Are you talking about the 12 steps in the Buddhist recovery method?
Well, you could select any one of them. The ones I'm familiar with kind of go parallel in each of the different platforms, but there's little variance, maybe a word change or something of that nature?
I would have to pull out a couple of books really to be, I don't have them all memorized, truthfully. Do you want me to do a compare and contrast of the different steps?
Not like a specific listing of the steps, just kind of the idea maybe of the process through the steps.
Well, I think that the process in all three of the programs is that you're working toward the goal of healing yourself. That's and the process is similar in that you first in the introductory phases is you're coming to terms with where you are in the world and what you've done. So somehow overcoming the grief and remorse, and then dealing with the resentments that you've probably established toward other people, and coming to terms with accepting the world as it is and your place in the world. And through working through these different steps, through different exercises in the form of SMART or step work in the form of in AA or NA or NA, as I'm familiar with, that you're proceeding toward a particular goal of turning to help others, getting away from just getting over your behavioral problems and starting to turn that around so that you can help other people that have been in a similar situation. And that's how I see most of the step work, and all of them is that you initially start off with recognition of where you are at, and you progress toward some realizations of how to make amends or mend yourself and make amends to others, and then accept where you are and what the world is really about. Kind of get over the selfishness and narcissism that we often as addicts have a lot of. And then toward the ends of the steps is helping others and keeping them on point, as you're never truly finished with the journey. It's the journey. It's not an end game, right? Always. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody, that pretty much ends the portion of asking you the questions from us, but we would like to give the audience a chance to ask some questions also. If anybody has any questions or anything that they think could benefit a loved one, that they know that loved one maybe has an issue with, and you know, anything that anybody wants to ask, feel free to go ahead and do that now.
Well, if nobody else out there has something at this point, I'll see if I can start it off. In listening to all the comments and the differences in each of your ways, your pathways, and knowing that the RCO deals with accepting all multiple pathways to recovery, if somebody was to come to you that was new in recovery and you've had success, let's say AA, NA, SMART recovery, whatever, can you accept the opportunity or give them the advice that they have to find the pathway that works for them? Or are you so convinced because of your success that your pathway is the only pathway? I'll leave that. You guys can raise your hand, you can interrupt, you can just hit your unmute button and go from there, and we'll see what happens. All right? Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kim.
Hey, Kim.
And I've heard this at multiple different types of, whether it's AA, NA, or life recovery. In the readings, I always hear, take what you need and leave the rest. So no matter what your pathway leads you to, you know, it's kind of like going to like the Goodwill. There's so much different stuff in there, and you're not going to take everything you need. Like sometimes you can find some really great things in there, and sometimes it's just junk, you know, that people give away, you know. So that's kind of like how if you keep your that mind frame or that mindset of like, sometimes you're going to go into the Goodwill and you're going to find some really good stuff. You're not going to take everything out of there. So take what you need and take what you like and take what's going to, you know, work for you in your life. And I tell people all the time, what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So that's just, I always have an open mind. I've tried many different, I was in prison for 4 years, and a lot of different fellowships came into the prison. I tried them all. One, to get out of my block, and because they usually bring cookies and coffee, and just to see what it was about. It wasn't, and I honestly believe it was a God moment that brought me into NA. When I got off the train and before I had to go see my parole officer, I went and got something to eat, and I looked at the meeting schedules. I had AA and I had NA, and I could have either been late to the AA meeting or on time to the NA meeting, and that kind of, sealed the deal for me. So thanks for letting me share.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I would like to say something with regard to that talking about, Michael, and because OARS, the basic principle is, that we offer, we'd like everybody to seek all different kinds of pathways for people, and pretty much all across the board, recovery is a self-directed. That means that the person themselves who has the problem is the one who directs where they want to go with their lives. Now, having been in recovery for a long time, and it really does bother me, but that's besides the point. There's an issue sometimes with the lingo that people use in their own 12-step groups. They'll be like, I don't want to hear this word, I don't want to hear that word, or they, kind of, oh, MAT, and, the whole shebang. And it's really nice if one day we'll be able to get away from that. But if anybody has anything that they could maybe enlighten a person, how that they can go about, kind of like what Kim said, take what you need and leave the rest.
I'll take it, I guess. When I'm attending an NA meeting, during the meeting, I'm going to adhere to the traditions of the meeting, because the traditions of NA are very important to the members, and they are, as it says, what keeps it alive in a lot of ways. It keeps it going, whereas other meetings can be very difficult to establish, as you guys may be aware. That alternatives to organized step meetings are difficult to keep going. They're difficult to get attendance to. Now, when the meeting is over, if I recognize that someone is having trouble with things, and often it is the maybe the religious overtones or the mentioning of a higher power, and I see newcomers as myself had trouble associating with a higher power, picking something that was meaningful to me. And so I would feel very open, and I feel like I can discuss whatever I want to when the meeting is over with whoever. And I would advise them after the meeting of the different possibilities of different attendance out there. During the meeting, I don't find that that's appropriate for me. There's a quote that's associated with the Buddha, going back to our refuge recovery, because we're all inclusive with refuge. We don't care what year, and we're not trying to prophesize, and we're not trying to convert anyone there. He says, believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who said it, no matter even if I said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. So everyone needs to take things like I said to take it for what it's worth and what works for them. There is a recovery program out there for everyone. It may take a little looking to find the one that's right for you.
Thanks so much. Do we have anybody else who has any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, sorry, my head thing is messed up. Where is the Smart Recovery for, I know where the NA meetings are and the AA meetings and life recoveries at the Flagler Women's Center, in Flagler Beach, but where is Smart Recovery located? Or board meets at?
Keith can go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, we canceled the meetings at about halfway through the COVID because we had no attendance. We have considered reopening them. Previously, we were able to meet at Break the Cycle at the recovery center or whatever they want to. I'm not sure what their actual designation is. It's here in Bunnell, right on 100. And we may have the opportunity to reopen it, but I apologize. There is no active meetings currently. And that's because, and we would like to have them again, but if we can't, if nobody shows up for 3 or 4 weeks, it's difficult to have them. If you would be interested, I'm sure somebody can give you my contact information, and I'll be happy to guide you to the website. There's a lot of information online. You can work the program on your own, and I'd be happy to consult with you about any problems or advice you want on the exercises in the book.
Okay.
Also, can I interject here real quick? Also, Flagler OARS is a clearinghouse for anybody who wants and has an interest in going to the refuge recovery, to smart recovery, to starting up another recovery place, finding out any information that you want. We take lists, and we can all get a hold of Keith and let him know, and then that way everybody gets an understanding, and we can open the groups, and it's about getting the word out. So and the same with all recovery, that's a really fairly new one too that a lot of people don't know about, and I think that it's really worth, and I've been to the refuge recovery and the smart recoveries with Keith, and they're excellent. I think the smart recovery is more of a CBT, cognitive behavior group. And but I do have a question. Somebody asked in the chat that some people do not feel comfortable if they were in a MAT pathway. So panelists, what % of all of those in recovery do you guys think make up the use of MAT in their recovery? Where do they go? Does anybody know?
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, thanks.
And this is not based on any, official numbers. This is just from my experience, because I started, I've been going to meetings for a little over 10 years now. I've got almost 5 years now where it's stuck, but I attended AA meetings, NNA meetings up in Maryland, and NA down here, and now I'm doing the all recovery, and also working with the Volusia Recovery Alliance. One of the board members I'm real close to, he's a social worker in the county, in Volusia County, and he deals with hundreds of clients that are on MAT therapy, and we've talked about that actually, and he said there are thousands of people out there just in Volusia County alone that are on medically assisted therapy. It's very hard to find out exactly where they're going because, in my experience, if they are attending AA or NA, they keep that to themselves, or they kind of hear it through the grapevine, people's comments, that they get to know in the meetings that this person is okay to talk to about it, and then they kind of just find each other. Like I was living in a sober house in Maryland while I was on it. And so there were a couple other guys in the house that were on it as well. So we talked to each other about it, but we still attended the meetings. But again, because we also respected the traditions of the meetings we were in, we didn't want to soapbox it inside the meeting, but we would talk about the benefits after that, how it helped us and things like that. So it's just so hard to find because, number one, 12-step meetings are anonymous, and there's no roll call. It's just so hard. If I had to guess, I think most of them are doing individual therapy with their social workers, their counselors at the clinics where they're getting their medication, or just one-on-one with the doctors or groups from the doctors or psychiatrists that they're getting it prescribed from. Some doctors, I don't know how it is in Florida, but in Maryland, you would have to go to a group therapy just once a month with other people that were prescribed it from his office. It wasn't like that with all of them. I don't know what the rules are down here, but it's very hard to quantify, because again, there is a stigma out there with the more popular group meetings. So It's a tough question. So there's my non-answer. I guess that wasn't really an answer. It was an idea.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're facing nowadays, and it's how to include everybody, regardless of where they are in their path. I know that I did not get it the first time, so I've used multiple pathways to get where I am now, and so given that, who wants to talk about what does MAT stand for?
I'm Kim.
Okay.
And MAT stands for medically assisted treatment. And it includes things such as methadone, Suboxone, Subutex, and Vivitrol.
Thank you very much for that.
Hey there.
Thank you.
I'm going to interject here. I think everybody had, first of all, the term MAT is being replaced with MAR in order to, because language matters. So medically assisted recovery for many people. I also think that we have to remember that there are groups, there are people who also include any kind of medication that would be, that we might call a psychotropic in that. So when you are in recovery, beginning your recovery, and you may have a doctor who prescribed you medication for depression, medication for bipolar issues, all that. So there are many people who consider that all part of MAR. And as you watch, the new term is going to be MOUD pretty soon. But so I think it's important that you keep that in mind, and because it's a brand new world out there, and we all know that the medically assisted recovery does help many people. Also, I want to put in a plug for NAS. Narcotics Anonymous at the at the home office has put out new information about their take on medically assisted recovery. So if you go to what they've been putting out in their papers, they're pretty accepted of medically assisted recovery. So Kim and Jason S., I'm sure you know a lot more than I do about that, but I've read the papers, and I think that I think the world is changing. That's all I wanted to say, Kath.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
So I was on Vivitrol for my first 6 months of sobriety, and I had been on methadone and Subutex and Suboxone also in the past, and the Vivitrol really helped me in my first 6 months of recovery, and I would say that in AA, when I first started attending meetings in 2010, there was a bigger stigma against it. And I would say that even like for a while, I had that stigma against it. And then over the course of the past 2 years, I realized how much it helps people. And it helped me, for the time that I was on it. Even when I was on methadone or Suboxone or Subutex, it kept me, from buying drugs on the street. It kept me from, overdosing on drugs that might have had fentanyl and it allowed me to get to a point where I was able to get off of everything and then continue to be sober. And I know that the reason that I like to think that AA is changing the way it is now. It's very rare to see just a pure alcoholic in Alcoholics Anonymous anymore. unless they're old timers with like 25 or 30 years. But most of the under 40 crowd in Alcoholics Anonymous are dual addicted. And where if I'm in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I would, because of the traditions, I say that I'm an alcoholic. If I go to an NA meeting, I identify myself as an addict. But the younger crowd of us now that are in Alcoholics Anonymous are really trying to change the way that Alcoholics Anonymous was, where, when I first came in the rooms, I didn't really talk about my drug use. It's just being, I just don't believe in that. If you're a drug addict and you can find recovery in AA, good for you. You're welcome there. If you need to use MAR, to get into recovery, that's fine. Whatever pathway works for you. But it all helps, and I've used all of it to get where I'm at today, and so I would just that's all I just wanted to say.
Okay. Thanks, Jason.
I know Lauren's going to be going to a meeting here in a few minutes and getting out of her car. But Lauren, I just want to thank you and Johnny for showing up tonight and talking about the MRT as much as you could without, the sound was just a little bit too much and we couldn't hear you. But thank you so much for coming tonight. Okay, appreciate it. So Danielle, who has a question? Anybody else have any more questions? Oh, yeah. I got a question for Pam. Pam, what does MOUD stand for? Medically. You have to unmute.
Unmute.
I'll get back to you on that. But what's interesting about it is that the doctors who use that expression use it because they feel like it's not just assistance, it's getting people from point A to point B. So guys, if you have a chance to hear or go see even his Twitter account, a doctor by the name of Aaron Wohl, he presented down there, Frank, down in Volusia, and the president of the VRA was there, and he's going to come back and he's going to present here later on this year. And he's an emergency room doctor who has written many papers on, doesn't anymore. So I'll let you know what that means, guys. It's MOUD.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
It says that it implies that the medication plays a secondary role to other medications, while MOUD which is medications for opioid use disorder, is its own treatment form. Yeah. So I don't know where we're going to be going with that, but it's pretty interesting. And what I think I like the most is that we're going to replace the word addiction with substance use disorder. I think that kind of sets a different mood or pace or whatever for a lot of good things that can happen in our world, and the fact that we're all coming together and talking about it out loud. I think that really helps too, because it strengthens us. So does anybody have anything they would like to talk about with regard to that? We just have a couple more minutes. Otherwise, we're going to wind it up.
I wanted to ask Jason a question about the MAT program. So Jason, how did you feel in regards to how you were treated for being on Vivitrol in AA? Did you, or how did you feel with being accepted there, with being on the Vivitrol program?
I think a lot of people that I talked to about it didn't really know what it was, as the same way that like people knew what methadone was or what Suboxone or Subutex was, and so it was just trying to explain to them what it was and what I was using it for, and I mean, luckily the AA in Flagler County is a really good group of people, and I didn't get really anything negative, any negative feedback from it really at all.
And what does what is the Vivitrol? What does it do?
It inhibits your cravings for opiates and alcohol, and it's a shot that you get once a month, and
Can I ask a question?
it's not addictive. You don't have to detox off of it. So I was able to take the shot once a month, and it totally like relieved my cravings for alcohol and for opiates. And then when I felt after 6 months that my recovery was strong enough to get off of it, then I just stopped taking it, and it was like I had been not taking anything at all. There was like no detox, no like tapering down. It was just I completely stopped, and then just continued on with doing my recovery program the way I had been. And so on Friday I will have 2 years sober for the first time in my life since I was 12 years old. So
congratulations.
It's been pretty amazing, and it's a little expensive, but I like to shout out Break the Cycle for scholarshiping me to get that, and it it was a miracle in my life, and I would highly suggest Vivitrol for anyone that's struggling with either of those issues, opioids or alcohol.
Thank you, Jason. We're going to take one last question. I saw Frank was wanting to ask a question. Did you have a question, Frank?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, I saw your hand up, so I thought maybe.
Oh no, he said 2 years, so I was giving him the fist. Yeah.
Oh,
power.
good. All right, well, we're about out of time. I do want to thank everybody for being here and participating this evening. It was wonderful to see you all. I'd like to wrap it up and have Pam kind of take us out. If we can go over to Pam.
Thanks, ladies. This was awesome. Folks, this will be on Facebook Live. I just want to put in a plug that we have 2 more sessions this week, one with Leslie Nelson, who's going to be talking about families in recovery, and then another one on Saturday with Angel Torres, who's going to tell his story of recovery. But because tonight we've had a lot of conversations about MAR, I did notice that the Simonides are here. And I do want to tell you guys that on Thursday, this September 17th, Dr. John is doing a lunch and learn about MAR. So, and we'll send that out. We'll send you out reminders about that. I also want to put a plug in for Danielle, who's here. Danielle's going to be doing a session on peer support specialists. And that comes up, again, we'll send out information, but that'll be a lunch and learn on the 18th. And let's see who else is here tonight. I think that's it. But we're real excited because we have 15 total sessions this month. And of those 15, this is our second one. So we want to thank everyone for coming. And we encourage you, we ask you, I'm probably almost to the point of begging you to please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And thank you all so much for coming. We really are excited that we had this great of a turnout. Thanks.
Hey, Pam,
Yes, sir.
not to interrupt, but we have another session on the 16th in the evening.
Oh, we have lots of them. I was just hitting
Oh,
the, I'm
You're
sorry.
just hitting this week? Sure, yeah, okay. I can tell.
Oh my God. So I was trying to hit everybody who was here. I didn't mean to leave you out. So Michael and Leslie will be doing a session on drug court.
Right.
So again, those are all posted on our webpage. They're posted on Facebook, and we will send out an email reminder at the beginning of each week this month. Oh, one more thing. Tomorrow, important for many of you. Tomorrow is September 10th is Suicide Prevention Day, Worldwide Suicide Prevention Day. So, which fits perfectly into National Recovery Month. So please be aware of that, and we'll be sending out some information about that as well. I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.